what is it about history that fascinates you, or what kind of history?
You know, I mean, the specific, you know, time period that I was really passionate about was like World War II and, you know, post-war, like going into Cold War.
Too.
So that, you know, I just think it was, you know, really fascinating. You know, a lot of the movies that you watch, like, you know, Saving Private Ryan comes to mind. I watched Band of Brothers during the quarantine. So that was, you know, really fun to watch. You know, I just think kind of learning, you know, of, you know, particular events that kind of shape where our world's at today. You know, I just think it's, yeah. And, you know, people always say, you know, history, you have to learn from your mistakes. And sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just think, you know, kind of what I mentioned earlier, you know, having teachers that were really passionate about it and, you know, makes you excited to learn about it.
Absolutely.
And that was
like rubs off on you.
It always helps. Yeah.
So that was something, you know, going into college, trying to become a history teacher, you know, I want to have that same effect on my students was, all right, you know, I'm going to be this history teacher that everyone loves and respects, and they actually enjoy coming to my class and enjoy learning history. And not every teacher, you know, specifically history, hear that. So when I was at Sonoma State telling people I was a history major, they're like, why do you like history? Like, that's not a subject I enjoyed in high school, but for me, I really loved it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always think it's fascinating learning about stuff that happened, especially when it's like something that you don't really hear about nowadays. And it's like, what, that actually happened?
Yeah, it's weird. It's really not that far along behind.
Yeah, especially how things are nowadays. It's just like, dude, I can't believe they were like that. They thought like that. They spoke like that.
And that was only like 50, 60 years ago or something like.
And that's just the bad stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't go back.
Yeah.
Oh, but what you said though about wanting to be that teacher that kids can be like, dude, I want to learn. Like that's what helped me in college when I found those classes where I liked the professor and I liked the material. I wanted to go to class. Before that, I was going to the classes and I hated going because I didn't like what I was learning. So it's huge when you can find a teacher who's actually like down to engage with their students and down to have cool projects and stuff. And the material itself is actually interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it was great because Sonoma State's history department is really awesome. And it's a really small group of faculty members and they're all really close. And, you know, the actual department in terms of students was not very big. So not only was I really close with the faculty members, but also the students. So pretty much, you know, when I was taking my upper division classes, I would have, you know, the same people in like 2 or 3 of my classes and some with all. So, you know,
the teachers knew your name and everything.
Yeah, they knew our name. You know, they had a really, really big emphasis on open door policy. So their, you know, office hours, they really encourage you to come in and, you know, so even just to talk about, you know, personal life, not so much school life. So
that makes it so much easier, man.
Yeah. And, you know, like I was mentioning earlier, I had a big, you know, soccer background. So one of my professors played college soccer and she actually had a course on the history of soccer. So that was something.
So sick. Did you take it?
Oh yeah.
I took it 3 times.
Yeah. So I was a part of that first class to be on it. And it was really cool because you got a little bit of both of like your personal soccer, you know, that you learn like over time. Like, you know, I'm a big Arsenal Quakes fan, so obviously I know the history of that, but you know, tying into like history learning aspects, you learn in like your other classes tied together. It was like really interesting. And I remember our final paper, we got to choose like any, you know, subject on soccer. And I did globalization of soccer, just so like kind of like talking about how soccer spread, you know, in terms of, you know, other things getting spread, you know, around the world. But it ended up being like a 20-page paper just because I had so much to write about and I was super passionate about both. And it was really cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
See, honestly, that's the goal. Like when you go to school and you just find it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like something that you're so passionate about, something that you're so interested in. So when you do the work, it doesn't even seem like work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like you're excited to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had 3-page papers where I'm like dreading writing them because I'm like, it's 3 pages, so easy. And then I've had 10-page papers where it was like, it's so easy. I just got right to work and I
what was that for you? Like what was your thing that you loved?
It was psychology. Once I found it, just like learning about the brain, like all the different parts, and like this part's about the memory, and this part's about like fear, fight or flight, the amygdala, stuff like that. Like I didn't have no idea, but there's all the brain is broken up into so many parts, and each part serves its own purpose. I just thought it was super interesting.
When you were picking schools, you went in as a history major? Did you apply as a history major?
So when I applied to Sonoma State, it was history. But when I did apply to schools, you know, there's a couple of factors. So history was a big one. Most state schools that I applied to had that. But there's some that if they didn't, I was actually pretty interested in kinesiology. And then I did, you know, kind of business as a backup if there was, neither of those. So, I mean, there was one school specifically, that was strictly business. So that was Menlo College that I was considering. So that's like an business only school. So I was looking into sports management and then business administration were the two that I was looking at over there. But kind of what I was going at when it came to school decision, it was not only the subject, but also, I had a really strong ambition to play soccer. So, the recruiting path was, very different. I didn't have any family members that actually played college soccer.
Yeah.
And my dad played football and track. So
did he play in college?
He did track at Chico.
Okay.
Nice.
But Chico, I didn't think had a football team when he was there. So, or I'm not really sure, but yeah, he didn't play football up there, but I didn't really have anyone to really look up to when it came to soccer. It was just my idol was Landon Donovan. That's why I wore 21 and 10. He big. I was a huge fan of him.
Yeah.
When he played for the Quakes, and all that. And I remember vividly the 2002 World Cup, U.S. making the quarters, and he had a huge influence on that run. But yeah, so when it came to choosing colleges, it was okay. Can I see myself playing there? And does it have the subject that I want to, study?
Yeah.
Yeah.